and I want to see Vitality from day 2.
And it all starts here with the picks and bans in the draft, because that is where they faltered, at least for Splyce. So the first ban out will be the Trundle coming in from Splyce, and the Gangplank, well, we kind of expect to see Gangplank now bans on the bans on the red side.
With a Trundle ban, what we've seen a lot in Asia, so both in LPL and LCK, is just an insta-lock first pick Alistar afterwards, because Trundle actually does well against him in lane in theory. You can still play his losing matchup decently, but then Alistar just goes up in value, and obviously over there Poppy isn't valued as high, so in Europe maybe Poppy support could be the counter pick, but that could be something that Splyce is looking at. You know, if your pick and bans are failing, look to the superior regions overall and see if you can copy.
See if you can learn anything from those regions. And Fiora will be the next ban coming out, along with Ryze, one of the highly contested picks coming out there. Quinn actually coming out as a ban, so maybe some of the potential cheese that I'm So Fresh was hinting at as Trevor was talking to them. And Lulu will be the final ban as well. Still very high pick and ban rate on that champion. First pick, once again, going to be the Tahm Kench.
Insta-lock Tahm Kench. I think that's a good opener from Splyce. I like the reaction here from Vitality with Kalista and Graves. Graves, super strong jungler. Maybe even top laner, so he can actually push in the Tahm Kench over and over, hopefully get out of there. And Splyce, they have answers available though. They can pick Poppy support to completely annihilate the gap closers from both Graves and Kalista overall, or they can just go with what I consider very meta picks here with the Alistar and the Elise.
Yeah, pretty meta. Not too much to mention on those. Just good engage, tanky front line. Elise can go a little bit more damage with the front line picked up there. Nukeduck instantly locking in the Morgana though, so can be a flex. Interested to see where that one goes. We actually saw a Morgana mid yesterday.
Yeah, so if that Morgana goes to support, it's actually tricky. Kalista Morg lanes pretty well because obviously double ranged and poke, but a good dual lane with Alistar should be able to lose that lane gracefully. And what happens is in this meta game, when you're having you're setting up for 4 picks with a lot of range right here, you may actually lack tank and actual engage, especially since this is not a siege poke comp. You're building skirmish and pick off with the Graves, with the Kalista. I'm not sure if the Morgana will work that great. We saw it earlier in LCK today too, when there was like a Nidalee jungle and a Morg, you know, but nobody was like starting the play. Everybody wanted to follow up on the play, and that may be a little cumbersome here for Vitality overall.
Especially when it's all on that binding as well to land. So Graves looks like it will probably be in top lane now, because Lee Sin's been locked in, so probably not going to see Lee Sin top lane anymore. So that is an interesting dynamic, and with Tahm Kench almost certainly being in the top lane, like you mentioned, he will find it very difficult to wave clear up against the Graves, who will just queue the wave, and then Tahm Kench has to CS under tower. Waiting for the next 2 pickups to come in from Splyce, hovering over the Corki right now.
Yeah, I like Corki mid Ezreal AD carry here, not the other way around like we saw last game. I think blue Ezreal lanes fine into a Kalista matchup, especially if Alistar is there. More importantly, because you can free up the Alistar to roam, and Ezreal should be able to farm on their tower decently well to avoid most danger, and just lane pretty safely because you can always range farm with Q. Corki is okay, it's a little trickier. You do have all-in potential with Q flash from Alistar. The level 3 spike on Corki is a little stronger, so both work honestly. Both AD carries that can play safe enough, that enable their support to roam. And then we're looking at a Twisted Fate in the mid lane. That's risky though. Blind TF on this patch. I talked a little bit about to Feb, and he's like, yeah, you never go a blind TF here. This is so risky. And it has been punished in other regions too. So I need to see what Vitality can do if Nukeduck can just win this matchup straight up.
We saw Sencux actually pick it up towards the end of the summer split and actually had some pretty good results in it. But if you pick it up into a potential counter pick onto Nukeduck, maybe not going to perform so well. Yeah. Against challenger teams, he decimated the side lanes, but it's going to be hard, especially with Morgana potentially in the side lane. The Black Shield comes up and goodbye's done.
They could take the, what is this, Giants promotions last year pre-spring, I believe, approach, where Frederick was literally camping mid, and you'd have gold carded to Cocoon and try and like snowball the lane that way. So you can shut down a pick like Ahri incredibly hard in the early game, but if Shook counter ganks and they see the Cocoon coming and they flash it aggressively, or they flash out of gold card range and turn around, the damage will definitely be on the side of Lee Sin and Ahri. So very interesting to see how that matchup will play out. Need to keep our eyes on Sencux and what Vitality is going to do about that early blind TF pick.
With Vitality picking up the Ahri as the last pick though, that moves the Morgana into the bottom lane, so we were looking at kind of a skirmish composition building up, and it still seems to be what we have right here with the Morgana thrown in. Taking a look at the other side, got the poke as well from Splice, as you mentioned. No
tanks and no what you could call pseudo tanks, call it what you want. You know, there's been talks about how Kindred acts as a tank. But I'd rather call them time savers. So stuff like Lissandra that can go into the enemy team, self-ult, then Zonias. It just buys you time. Kindred ulti as well, it buys you time. Right now, Vitality, they have full squish and they have nobody to buy them time. So if they get behind, TF gets to late game, Tahm Kench gets to late game, they may have a little bit of issues.
And Nukeduck was swapping up to the cleanse as well just before he heads into the loading screen. So we'll see how that one works out as we get into this game. And yeah, the TF coming in there. Once again, you can see those full team compositions on your screen. Once again, make sure to use those hashtags, hashtag SPYWin and also hashtag VITWin if you think Vitality is going to take this game and continue their improvement from day 1 to day 2 in the first week. Because it looked like a different team, honestly. Yeah. But we are about to get into this game. Krepo, the second one that we will be casting at least. Splyce going up against Vitality. Can Splyce actually bounce back after week 1? Because they didn't have the most fantastic showing. We're about to find out as we head into the Rift.
Yeah, definitely want to see Vitality from game 2 last week. Obviously, the draft was a lot better. Yeah, both teams definitely have clear, different approaches to the game, win condition-wise, what they want to do. They both kind of like skirmishing though. If you look at the bottom part of the lineup, except for Tahm Kench, I don't think Splyce doesn't mind a big skirmish, so we could see a lot of these skill-dependent exchanges here. And from watching Shook's Lee Sin, that could actually play very heavily into Vitality's favor.
Well, speaking of Shook, he did see the invade there by Splyce, and they put down the ward off to the top side as well from Cabochard. Going to be able to clear away this ward. And Hjarnan putting down a ward on the bottom side to see a potential lane swap come out.
And the crowd goes wild for that ward kill. I can't believe we're still cheering for that. Kalista Morgana basing. Taking a look at the matchups.
Minions have spawned.
Kalista Morg should be able to push in Corki Alistar. At least put some pressure. It all depends on the binds. Q flash is the answer there. If you look at mid lane, Ahri should have pressure on TF early in like the first 2 levels, I feel, but eventually it's hard to judge, actually. I feel like whenever I see a TF, he can push if he wants to, but he overextends really hard. You need to see which player actually wants to push. But definitely once the junglers get in there, double CC, of which one is like targeted CC, is incredibly hard to deal with for Nukeduck, and that's exactly why he's running that cleanse.
Vitality hit the lane swap there as they were just floating around the mid lane and then only went through the wards that they knew were placed down just a little after. So now they're heading into the top lane, and Splyce already had the bottom lane in the bottom lane. So you can take a look at the Keystone masteries as well. Bond of Stone this time from Nisbeth, a change from last game where we saw the wind speakers to give the extra resistances in team fights. So just different goals from team compositions.
Yeah, Bond of Stone may actually have a bigger merit if you're looking at situations where Vitality might not actually group that much, but be more in skirmish areas. And you don't really want to buff resistances, rather as opposed to you just want to soak as much damage as you can, avoid assassination. KaSing stopping the counter jungle here, but Vitality clean 2 camps at their side, 1 camp actually only on their side before moving over. Whereas I feel like at Splyce, I think they got the full triple camp there, barring a small wolf. Shook is solo jungling right now. Cabo must have grouped already. We can't really see him. Now we see him.
Yeah, there he is in the top lane. So there's a lot of damage to towers early as well.
So a bit of a trade-off here. Vitality, they rather have the lane swap go quickly, get the tower that quickly, bounce the wave. Whereas Splyce, they got more jungle camps overall. So overall experience gain maybe ahead of them, but the tempo is on the side of Vitality.
Nisbeth and Kobbe pushing it down here, just waiting for the minion wave to arrive before Wunderwear heads towards the tower and starts licking it down. Should be able to take this one out fairly quickly. Going to be slower, of course, than the push from Vitality, as they're already taking down this turret. Want to see if they give all the gold over to Cabochard, or they decide to take some of it for themselves. Looks like they will back away.
Actually, interesting. This must have been a fail predict here from the Vitality lineup, because in theory, Graves is a push in the top lane that likes to just farm, get a lot of CS, and just drives around pushing the enemy and whittling away at the tower. Ironic as well, if you look at Splyce's side, TF likes a big map. He likes long lanes because it gives him more places to teleport to. So I believe that all that information in combination with the fact that Splyce also had the losing bot lane, that this was a fail predict from Vitality, but they just made it work.
It still went pretty okay at the end of this lane swap, but Trashy did manage to take away that buff as well, just in the bottom side, having the numbers there, and now Hjarnan will head into the bottom lane. KaSing going to be a little slow there, but may look to put down his pink ward, maybe in the middle lane, maybe a defensive one, or just put it in the river as well.
Still level 1.
Just want to see where this pink ward goes down. Yeah, still level 1, because he did take the gold from the tower, but didn't get the experience from the mini wave as it went out.
So yeah, we see the standard lane swap here. The mini freeze, and now technically Cabochard should push out this wave in the top lane because he knows there's likely a bot lane coming his way and he'll get denied or even dove in the top lane. So he could actually just cash in with a lot of experience here. And if he pushes this lane and Splyce decides to freeze, it's fine for him because freezing in this meta just gets punished super hard. So he takes a little bit of CS, pushes the wave back. I like that, as opposed to just, oh yeah, I can freeze this lane. It never works, because they're out to push you off. Or look at who's coming here. Nisbeth is coming, Trashy is coming, Kobbe was aware. He cashed out with a lot of CS, and that puts him in a big advantage compared to Wunderwear. And this is where you reap the benefits of that tempo in the early game. This is why you want to be the first guy to kill that tower, because it helps your top laner get ahead.
And ahead he is 21 CS to 7. Bottom tower now going over to Vitality. Nisbeth in the top side will also push this tower with that triple man stack. Going to be a little slower than the bot side once again, so still maintaining the tempo. Vitality are slightly ahead. Cabochard, I want to know where he goes in terms of item build as well in the top lane. We've seen a lot of variation. One in the jungle grade, also in the top lane. Ghostblade has seen some play. Also, so has the core of Maw and Sterak's, which makes you literally impossible to burst from any mid lane. It's a mid laner's nightmare.
Yeah, definitely haven't seen too many Graves tops. I like that they're bringing it out. I wonder where he's going to go now. So this is all nice and well, but these towers will even out, and it will leave the map open. So we need to see once Sencux hits level 6 what he can do, or if Nukeduck's actually going to put pressure and roam himself to make some plays. Vitality do seem to have a better grasp of the lane swap overall, but because of the extra jungle taken early by Splice, the gold remains exactly even. It's just divided a little differently.
And Hjarnan and Shook head back into the top lane. Shook going towards a warrior enchant, so still this skirmish team we were talking about in Champion Select, just gearing up for that and trying to take some of those mid-game fights. And Sencux is now level 6, along with Nukeduck, so will he make those proactive plays? Or will he find the opportunity to? Because in the top lane, it's going to be 3 versus 1, so can't really jump up there.
Yeah, we've seen that Wunderwear does not play well from behind. But he needs to yield that wave right now, and he will get a big push coming up to tier 2 in the top lane, and he will need help farming up. If he gets denied that big wave that's massing up right now in the top wave, that will probably be a crucial point for the game. So we'll need to see Nisbeth hopefully base. Maybe it takes long enough for Corki to base and pick up a package. I don't know exactly when it spawns, but he will need some assistance.
And the Herald going over to Vitality as well, happening to be on the top side of the map because of the lane swap and how it all shook out. And that will go over to them. So I want to see who they give it to as well. It may indeed be Shook, so he can go for the push, or maybe KaSing as he heads up there. It's going to be Shook. Also gives him the extra damage and movement speed.
Movement speed for Elise, so he gets in position. If you have equal movement speed to him normally, he can never get into Q range, because by the time he casts Q, you keep moving, he's out, but with the extra movement speed, you can actually get into positions. Look at Kobbe too. He knows he can't farm safely in the bot lane, so he's just going to base and try and group in the top lane. He sees enough people defending in the top lane, and he alters his path. So Kobbe, only what he wants is to farm in the bot lane safely. If he can't do that, he's fine joining in the top lane and teleporting back. The second he sees help from Splice in the top lane, he returns to the bot.
And Vitality still slightly further ahead with the blue spawn. That will also go over to them. Nukeduck was even able to head over and just take it with an orb of deception. So that goes over to the middle lane on top of the Herald that Shook now has. So Vitality slightly ahead in this game after the lane swap shenanigans. 600 gold in terms of that one. And continue to push in the top lane. Wunderwear will find it difficult to clear this wave by himself, but Hjarnan and KaSing back off.
Yeah, and Kobbe froze. Like, he's freezing right now in that bottom lane right now, and that's actually pretty rough right now. Kobbe did not manage to push it in, nor did Kobbe push super slow to deny any additional CS or stack a big wave that he can then use in turn for a map play. He just kind of very meekly pushed it in, left some creeps there, and Cabochard is reaping the benefits right now.
Leave that there for quite a while. That was actually a big stack of minions, so it's still winning out in the minion war. Elise just in his jungle, farming away, took the red buff. So 8 minutes into this game, and it's all just been the players moving around the map. Still, Sencux has not used his ultimate yet, so that one is still up. Gone for the Catalyst, in fact.
Wow, and he's actually handing it off. He's handing over the freeze to Hjarnan, who's now going to slowly push it out. Something I thought I'd never see Cabochard do. It's like, this farm right here? Nah, you take it.
Yeah, surprising. But he's still ahead of his counterpart, Wunderwear. And has now gone for the Traitor Duck. Also with the Swiftness boots. Nukeduck in the mid lane though. Potential.
That's Glenn's. He's fine.
Out. Yeah, and the ultimate. So,
yeah, that's Glenn's on wave clear. So now we're looking for a potential 5-man dive in the top lane with the gate from Twisted Fate. So we need to see if Kobbe gets help. He has that like one-shot wave clear with his ulti too. He can expend, but he's under pressure right now. Can Vitality counter? Do they know this is coming?
Well, they do now. Cabochard's going to take the volatile Spiderling as he waltzes back to his inner turret. It was inhibitor turret rather. KaSing and Shook are already there, so that minion wave is going to evaporate. And now Splice will look for another play to happen. So it didn't work out this time. and most likely won't be able to get the mid lane gank off either. And plus Nukeduck went for the Abyssal Scepter first as well, so he's got so much in his kit to get away, and even if they get on top of him, the AP damage is going to be reduced. Hjarnan in the bottom lane now pushing. Also want to touch on the fact that Shock is 2 levels ahead of Trashy.
Yeah, and the biggest problem I have personally with this play is that Hjarnan should never be allowed to do this. AD carry should never be allowed to start pushing at his tier 2 tower all the way up to the other tier 2 tower. That's very hard to say sometimes. Without any wards, blind. All because Splice went for the super obvious, okay, let's try to dive top play. That got countered. Meanwhile, Shook can invade this jungle pretty much blind because he has support from his teammates. Splice are playing from behind when they have a global ultimate in the mid lane with an Ignite TF.
This is the time where they should have those proactive plays, because the package just got picked up as well by Kobbe.
Or just predict the fact that, hey, look at Kalista, he's alone in the bot lane. Let's just not try to dive the Graves. Maybe that's a recipe for disaster. Let's just focus on getting Tahm Kench with his ultimate, get behind until Kalista. Twisted Fate comes in, he's dead. Suddenly you have the map under control. You can start making these plays. But they're sitting back, going for a very, very obvious play. Vitality, they yield, and then they take something else. Shook has invaded blue buff, red buff, and Trashy is having significant issues farming.
The ripple effect is actually very impressive in this game. All off that first turret, Vitality were always slightly further ahead, slightly faster to go for that play. And also theirs worked out as well. Nukeduck getting another blue as well, so he's had basically 100% uptime on his blue buff.
Yeah, and it gives him mid lane control, it gives him the CS advantage. He has now built Abyssal, so even if he gets comboed by Gold Card into Cocoon, he likely survives long enough that 3 ulti stacks get him out. KaSing baiting Cocoon, has Black Shield. They see them coming from a mile away because the vision right now is there for Vitality. Look at the river, triple pink ward combo. That gives Nukeduck a path that he can move in unspotted, that he can then put pressure on the map.
What type of situations are we looking for Splice to get into? Because maybe if they get a pick onto Nukeduck, or Nukeduck gets a pick the other way around, that's so much damage.
He knew exactly where that Cocoon's going to end and then trades back. Like, look what Nukeduck just did. He annihilated a triple gank, still has pressure in mid lane. That's a red card, that's the wrong one.
Clears that minion wave, was all intentional, I swear. Now, Nukeduck just with 1 Q clears that whole back line, and the wave clear just from Ahri is so strong, and then Cabochard turning up with the Q, that minion wave is gone.
Yeah, so security in mid lane in terms of wave clear. That leaves KaSing able to babysit Hjarnan, because this time they may actually send TF there to kill him, maybe with Abyssal Voyage from Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench is visible in the top lane, so very few pick opportunities though. Even though an open map should play in the favor for Twisted Fate, it's just not happening for Splice. They're not getting the setup they need.
Not getting the setup. Sencux still has his ultimate to be able to be used, but even if they get, also if they get caught into a situation where it becomes a skirmish, Vitality are ahead in most of their respective roles, if not all of them. So they'll probably end up losing out in those fights as well, unless they get the numbers advantage with the Twisted Fate from a setup situation by them. Shock is actually going to be seen out by this ward, so they have that little bit of information. Can they make anything happen from it? Sencux is leaning towards the top side of the map, and a lot of pings are coming out from both teams, so ultimately it looks like this is going to fizzle out.
Yeah, Wunderwear is just playing catch-up. He doesn't push the waves as quickly as his counterpart do. Shook, this is what we're... Observe this, please. Why are we zooming in on a pink ward? We do not enable cheering for wars here.
Oh, we just did.
And we're back to... If Rift Scuttler is the... A Rift Herald, rather, is the main objective on the map that people are taking twice, it means you generally have a boring game. Something's going on.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Now, the Rift Scuttler as well, about to go down. Destroyed out there by Splice as they move into the middle lane. Hjarnan do a bit of damage to this turret, and then Sencux is going to wave clear it because he's Twisted Fate, and he does that.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently the reason we zoomed into that pink ward is because it lived for absolute ages. So nobody spotted it in the... Producer just yelled in my ear. Didn't you know that ward was alive the entire game? Now it died.
Yeah, if you place it in your base, it lasts for the whole game. Yeah. And if you're winning, they'll never get it.
Best ward stats, man.
Yeah.
100% pink uptime.
Nukeduck.
Waiting in the wings. Pick here and Trashy. That's
finds
enough.
Trashy. Almost gets the kill with a small combo. He could have actually just ulted in there and ulted out. But
yeah, but it's suicide. So that's when you trade. That's when you gotta look. A lot of players go in for that kill, but what did you just get? You chunked out the jungler. You would. I know. I likely too at this point. I'm that bad. But you would trade 100% of your health potentially for 20% of his. Whereas killing people is nice for gold, but if you're playing the map, chunking them also sends them back to base for an amount of time. That's when you can set up a map play that then they have no counterplay to. Everything Splice is trying to set up, something goes wrong. Like the gank gets spotted, the jungler gets put to 20%, suddenly it all falls apart and they have to set up again. And Vitality is a smarter team. they'll see it coming right now, every single time.
These small advantages being built up gives them small edges which could ripple and cascade out of control into big advantages. So far, all those small things have added up to around a 2,000 gold lead. This time, Sencux will get his blue buff, which would be nice for him. There we go.
Yeah, and then obviously the gold gains are slow because both teams are being careful. Like one mistake wipes it out, but if you keep consistently small differences add up to a large amount over time. Ooh, deep insight, but that's actually the way you want to play. Vitality is running a full skirmish competition though, so they kind of need to speed it up at one point. They still have plenty of time. These competitions kind of fall off at like 25, 30 minutes. That's when just tanks start taking over, start really carrying. Like Tahm Kench will become like nigh unkillable. But plenty of time to play the map there. But it's just hard. Neither team is finding an opening on any of these tier 2s. Can't rotate. Both teams have enough combined wave clear if they don't have it alone. Ahri's almost getting to the point where she can wave clear alone if she goes Ludens. But anybody groups with TF, the wave is gone. Anybody groups with Ahri, the wave is gone. There's no split pushers really. Tahm Kench pushes, Graves pushes. Nobody wants to stay around. They're either afraid of a pick or either afraid of a twisted fade. So that's why we're seeing it's kind of a lull in this mid game here.
And Kobbe will be picking up this one. Very often seeing the AD carries pick up these Rip Heralds for the extra damage and extra movement speed, but also if they decide to split up, having wave clear in multiple lanes as well is nice. Hjarnan and KaSing heading into the enemy jungle right now, trying to get some aggressive vision down, some more information for them to pick up these small advantages in small plays. Yeah,
and what KaSing is doing right here, this is what you have to track. If you see a lot of these quote-unquote like slower, call it boring, call it what you want matches that we've seen even in LCK, hang on, Trashy. Nukeduck's waiting in the wings too. It is all broken by vision, and more importantly, deep vision in the enemy jungle, because that allows you to pivot around that point, basically rotate, make some picks. That's what you want. So unless Vitality can really cement some proper deep vision here, say a couple of deep wards and additional pink, it'll be easy enough for Splice to hold them off for a while. So that's kind of the breaking point of this very stale mid game. It's deep vision and then allows for picks.
Second dragon of the game should be going over to Shook here as well. It's not answering a lot of the questions as well that we have with some of these teams. Vitality from day 1 to day 2 in week 1. Gonna hold that thought for a second because Sencux comes in, lands the gold card, but also gets charmed up. So Nukeduck is able to get away and has cleanse and has flash.
Yeah, he doesn't care. So yeah, that's what's gonna start happening. It's the same way when unicorns were behind. They just start panicking and they make the play kind of late. I mean, if you have a Twisted Fate, you have a Tahm Kench with his ultimate Abyssal Voyage available, and you have a package, you should be able to make a better play than this. You should be able to force some lane somewhere. Somebody has to be out of position. Whether it's your mistake for not setting up the vision appropriately beforehand to allow yourself to capitalize on that mistake, that may be the case, but going for that play, that is definitely subpar from Splice.
And as Splice group of mid lane, Vitality do the same, instantly clear out the minion wave, and we've had 2 towers go over to Vitality versus those 2 towers from Splice. Maybe this will start chaining now as the mid lane push comes in.
Vitality grouping right now, big wave in the top lane. They want to use that wave to their advantage. So they're giving over farm and experience to Splice in a big, juicy package, but they want to siege mid here, 4v5.
Gets the charm onto Nisbeth, and the Thunderlords gets some chunk out, but the wave clear coming in from Kobbe and Sencux is pretty big. Opting towards the Rod of Ages in this game rather than just the pure damage from like a Lich Bane or a Ludens build.
Yeah, and that actually, like, failed sieges like that cost you a lot, because not only do you give over the big wave, you allow Splice to build a big wave of their own. They have counterplay, they get the momentum, because you have to fan out again, you have limited vision, so you need to make sure that you actually get the tower off that place. This actually helps Splice a decent amount. Good try by Vitality. They try to make a pick. Hunting Wunderwear right now. He's tanky though, he's not going to go down. And look at Nukeduck as well. Complete fog of war around that area. He can't even commit. Even if he technically could kill him 1v1, let's leave that in the middle. He can't, but there's not enough vision to make that play.
Trashy could be there, and indeed he was. Kobbe now roaming as well. Doesn't have the package, and Nukeduck going a little far forwards.
Gotta respect.
He's out of vision, and he respects it. He just goes back to base.
It's literally a game of counter dots. If I don't see 4 dots on my minimap, I back out, because that means at least 2 of them can be out here. And if there's at least 2 of them, I'm probably dead. I'm probably the guy that's going to walk into them.
Showing restraint, though, many other players, such as myself, would go for that next minion wave.
Just one more.
Just one more. Another one. And then Cabochard in the top lane, though. Taking a look at this item build, because I was questioning what he was going to go for at the start of the game. Sencux. He's just going to clear the wave. Goes for the Maw of Malmortius to mitigate some of that burst coming in from a fairly heavy magic damage composition.
Quadruple magic damage comp, so didn't really touch on that. That's actually, combined with the Aegis, and the Maul, even though we talked about Vitality not having any tanks, still lost a pretty long while here. Fate's Call comes in, KaSing is thrown in.
It's onto Nisbeth though, and he has his ultimate, jumps in, comes in with a flash, and knocks Cabochard into the team, lines him up for a good Q, but that one will miss, and Shook comes in, lands the Q onto Nisbeth. Well, he decided to jump in, now he does, once the ultimate has worn off, and that is first blood, ladies and gentlemen, at 20 minutes into the game.
First blood goes down, finally.
Oh, Shook looking for a follow-up though onto Wunderwear. However, it is Wunderwear after 20 minutes of farming, and he's Tahm Kench.
Yeah, and after all, it's Wunderwear. No, the kid out of this.
Better luck next time, Krepo.
Yeah, better luck. Yeah, so we'll wait till we get the replay of that play here. Vitality looking to capitalize with a potential tower, because quite some things went wrong. Also, it was the re-engaging team that ended up getting first blooded. That usually means there's no control in the game. I know I've been really critical here, but really good opening from Vitality. I like that they went for the play, because for Vitality, that play almost had no drawbacks. That was almost the ideal counter play from Nisbeth, and it still didn't really work out. We'll have to see how much that gold card from Sencux actually influenced that fight. So Vitality, they want to open here because Nukeduck is collapsing and they have Tahm Kench in the bot lane. So they know they'll be 4v5 if Shook comes in. Beautiful R into Q flash here. Sencux flashes in and hits KaSing though. That's questionable. Trashy's out of the fight. Good Graves AoE. I think even if that gold card hit anybody except the support, that fight was still a clear win from Vitality. So good fight from Vitality, and Nisbeth, yeah, did he make the mistake re-engaging? I think it's good to go for that clutch play where you get a 2-man combo. Wunderwear walks in and then flashes out, so you see just Splice not ready to make any play. They panic react and then they do it poorly. Mid laner flashes into gold card to support. Well, they used every single ability, so definitely lacking in overview.
It was a nice idea though, as you mentioned. Nisbeth's going to get CC'd up here very briefly, and the mid lane seed comes out. But as everyone from Vitality arrives in the mid lane, they'll clear out this mini wave. Spooky Ghosts come out, one goes on to Wunderwear, but he finds Nisbeth, and Trashy also walks away. Fun fact, that was the latest first blood, what a shocker, of LCS so far. The other one was at 16 minutes, so a big difference already, and that was Giant's Elements. We're going to have another player in the mid lane. Oh, Gold cast the minion. He had that one coming, and Hjarnan will drag back KaSing into safety, and nothing.
I love the ripple effect. If Morg's ulting somebody and you pull her out with face call, you kind of go, no, my tethers. But yeah, Sencux with the ultimate mind game, where you don't want to waste gold card on Black Shield, just throw it on a minion. Usually you do it to BM. This time, yeah, I think he's nervous. He must be nervous because he's a better player than what he's showing right now. Or Splice, they all have a lot of good players, but it's just really not coming to fruition. Good Black Shield by KaSing though, and that's why it's so hard to deal with Kalista Morgana as a TF overall, because if you go for the Morg, she gets Fate's Call. If you go for Kalista, she'll have the Black Shield. Unless the Morg is selfish and Black Shield herself, never do that, then yeah, that's the only way you can actually get a kill there. So Splice went for the proactive play, but it's kind of late again, you know, 4,000 gold behind. Very obvious in the short lane. The map is completely wide open, but they actually go for the shortest lane possible, and they don't find a pick.
Nukeduck now in the bottom lane, split pushing. He's a pretty strong duelist if you take a look at the lineup of Splice. Wunderwear, he probably can't burst them and the team can then react, but Corki is way far behind him. He'll get instantly nuked down. Mid lane, Sencux has now picked up the Abyssal, is a fair ways behind in terms of gold. This will be the third dragon going over to Vitality, and this may be one of those games that we may even see a fifth dragon come out, because that ball starts to get rolling very early into the game. 23 minutes and all the three dragons over to Vitality.
Yep. So a lot more move speed here right now from the dragon. Cabo's waiting in the base. Potential teleport home guards gank that he can do. Obviously you get home guards for free right now. Has the swiftness, so a lot of mobility on Vitality's side. Kobbe is sporting the package though, so he's looking for a play. Splice is looking to group in the top lane. Nobody left in the mid lane, so they're actually looking for a pick or a dive in the top lane here, trying to force something with that package. We see KaSing here, and we see a lot of numbers, but the one you should watch here is 12.0 average pink wards per game. So KaSing really making use of those really strong pink wards. So if you want to be like Vitality and you want to be like KaSing, buy more pink wards and place them.
And he's bought 6 pink wards this game compared to Nisbeth's only 2. So even in this matchup, he is placing way more wards in his opposition.
Obviously, and we'll get into that later, Shook goes in. Vitality looking for a gauge. Black Shield on Shook. Nothing happens, so I can tell my story. There's an upper limit on that. If you're buying too many pink wards, you probably want to learn how to place them better. You have to look in depth if KaSing is just having very poor pink ward placement, but I doubt it. But yeah, the strength of moving your pink wards around is seriously underrated.
especially as the game develops. If you're getting an advantage, you want it to be deeper. If you're falling behind, you want it to be closer into your jungle. Sounds kind of obvious, but...
Hey man, everything sounds obvious once it's explained. It's just hard to piece it all together in the game.
Right.
A lot of these concepts are super easy once explained, and when you have all the vision. To do it in the game on the pressure, a lot harder. Cool little thing that from Nukeduck, he could have opted to send his Q to the wave to instantly wave clear, but they're so comfortable that they're actually using their wave clear abilities to start poking out the enemy too. So they're not worried about sieging at all. So Vitality, yeah, in prime pole position right here to take this game.
Take a look at the ways that Vitality can get into a fight as well. It's like a Charm landing or Shook landing a Q, but there's not a lot of good targets for him to land a Q and then follow up because he instantly gets CC'd out. KaSing, again, just looking for a binding or, again, the charm from Nukeduck. So it's difficult for Vitality to get into a fight. And you've seen the reactive plays they've had, which are working out very well for them if Splyce go for their fight. And once again, Nisbeth's going to jump in. He knocks away Nukeduck, but misses up the combo. Shook is going to get CC'd under the tower, and he goes down. But now the chase comes out from Nukeduck, and it's so many low targets. There's another charge. Picks up one, picks up two. Looking for a third kill here as he jumps forwards onto Trashy. Very low, and doesn't get the last Q to finish him off. But Tahm Kench was left in no man's land, and he'll go down for the third kill. 4 kills now over to Vitality, and 3 picked up in that last fight.
Yeah, Vitality looking to capitalize with Baron here. Forced fight here. Nisbeth went in, completely messed up his combo. Maybe he was trying to do something that we saw Hjarnan do last week as well, where you want to knock him into the wall, wait a fraction of a second, then knock him up, maybe to cancel one of the ultimates from Ahri. But it's risky. You knocked him straight over the wall, did not get the combo. At that point, the fight was already lost, and Vitality capitalized with 3 kills, barely 4, and get the Baron. Let's watch that again. So Nukeduck opens with charm. Good reaction. Yeah, with the speed that he was trying to combo, it is likely that he actually went for a combo and he failed it. Good kick here from Shook. Overall, Vitality comes in. Hjarnan is really strong. KaSing is just peeling. Wunderwear gets rendered in the back. Just not enough damage after that initial burst. If that fails, if Splyce can't get a combo into straight assassination, they just don't have the damage to win these fights, especially if Wunderwear is soaking damage, but nobody's returning damage. Just 5 damage dealers on the side of Vitality, it's so hard to deal with, so you need to blow them up. You need to use the fact that they're squishy, and you're not. Splyce could not do that in that fight.
Also, for anyone out there who's like, ha, he messed up his combo, it's actually a lot harder to get the ones that are further away because you have to time it right versus the ones where you're right next to them and you just go click, click, and then you actually have to wait a second. Also, with the change in timing, a lot of people used to play a lot of Alistar. That definitely messed people up. Yes, we've had a lot of time now between that and now with the change, but still, it's one of those things that you can see play into matches, and we just saw it right there.
Completely agree. Also, if you're playing on 8 ping in this realm and environment, a lot of the gaming houses here in Germany, internet providers, give you like 40 ping. If you're unlucky during peak hours, it's 60 ping. That drastically changes the way you have to combo. It is no excuse. It's just a little more context. But overall, yeah, just you gotta be confident you're gonna nail that play because it's a game changer if you mess it up.
And also when he's only one of the few players on the team who can set up those plays, the 2 proactive plays we've seen from Splyce have been from Nisbeth.
Yeah, and at least he's going for it. I like teams that are not afraid to make mistakes and at least are making them rather than teams that don't do anything at all. One little note on the combo before we move on is like with the old combo, there used to be a way you could execute it by holding Q at the end of it, and it would kind of auto cast once W was over. As far as I know, that's no longer possible. So a lot of Alistar mains that had a really easy mechanical combo, like good hit ratio on it, like Mitty for example. He never missed a combo. He started missing a lot of combos with the change, so definitely rough.
Oh, I know that one. But yeah, Wunderwear down here in the bottom side of the jungle. Cabochard pushing this one in very quickly. Now that there's Baron buff, it's really opened up the gold differential. We didn't really touch on it, but Vitality with that Baron have just taken so much on the map. Almost 10,000 gold ahead now from that 4,000 gold they were sitting on for so long. Yeah,
and we're seeing some of the weaknesses of this composition. Running tank and then multiple damage dealers is usually fine, but they're all the same sort. Corki from behind is majority magic damage since he relies on rockets. TF purely magic, Elise purely magic damage overall. And every single member here from Vitality is picking up defensive. You have Mob Melchiers, Lockhead, later on Banner of Command on Morgana plus Black Shield. You have QSS finished on Hjarnan, and then Nukeduck can cleanse out of CC. With the Abyssal, everybody is picking up little snippets of magic resistance overall, making them overall as a unit actually pretty tanky.
Which is not what we thought was going to happen in Champions State. We're expecting to go for more mid-game fights and more skirmishes, but we've only really had 2 big fights that have happened this game, and that's just allowed them to itemize very smartly, as you mentioned. And Shook will head into the mid lane. That was another dragon going over to Vitality. Now the tipping point, the 5th one, will give them Aspect, which is quite big. And Shook doesn't quite get
especially for 5 damage dealers in these fights. That's going to be the droplet that makes the bucket overflow.
Yeah.
If it's not already overflowing. Pretty rough one out. 10,000 gold behind from Splice. And a familiar situation that we saw them time and time again last weekend too, just left with very little amount of counterplay. And the few amount that they do have, they are misplaying it. But they're a team that are still growing. Obviously, their goals is, I think, middle of the pack team that wants to aim for like the 5th, 6th place in playoffs. It's still attainable after a 0-3 start. But definitely to start doing more work.
The spooky ghosts come out. And this is the patch where they get progressively more spooky, because yesterday when we were doing the European Challenger Series qualifier finals, it was only 5.24, so only a consistent amount of spooky.
Yeah, that's actually a good change, because you can really tell whether it's worth running around trying to like walk away from like, no, don't get me, or whether you just yield and just take it early and then.
Because on the short end, it's only 2 seconds now in 6-1 versus 5 if it's at the very maximum range. Before, it was 4 seconds, and that was horrible because you almost had to flash if someone was around.
Yep. Also, now you can gauge how far they're away too. If you see a maximum spooky ghost come at you, yes, you may be slow for a while, but you know that it's been traveling for a while, so you're actually likely not to get caught.
Unless someone else is hanging around there, ready to pounce.
Lurking in the shadows.
No. But Nukeduck will be taking a blue buff. So interesting. Take that one away, but that's the most action that's happening on the map currently.
You gotta work on your like National Geography like color casting there.
Yeah.
In the wild, we see Nukeduck pouncing on the booth.
Oh, he got it. He got his quarry. Yeah, not quite David Attenborough just yet, Krepo, but we'll get there in about
that
2
guy,
minutes.
I was looking for his name. Overall, yeah, Vitality setting up some side waves. They still want to avoid getting caught. You have to remember Sencux has a global ability to reposition himself. They're setting up the waves. Top lane is pushing, just gonna double check. That wave will actually bounce back, I believe, depending on the melees. There's one missing. So top lane won't be that big of an issue. They're looking to set up mid and bot, forcing the Valk here. That means they can walk up mid. Tahm Kench is 1v2 in the bottom lane, so that might prompt a re-engage here in the mid lane.
Potentially engage coming out. Sencux immediately bound up by KaSing though, and we'll get the CC down, but the composition is very squishy from Splice, but it's actually Nukeduck who is the first one to go down, and this is actually an advantage to Splice. In the bottom lane though, they are taking so much.
Yeah, Wunderwear is just watching them take the base. That's just sad. So that was a good engage by Splice, because usually your tank can keep them off a little bit, or at least maybe eat Hjarnan here. Hjarnan should be down.
Got him.
Wunderwear, I want to know if he could do that a little earlier. It sounds like he shouldn't be able to give up 2 towers and then hit before he can deal any semblance of counter damage right there. But good pickup, good reaction. This is what we don't see from Splice, you know. Vitality, you get greedy, you send 2 peoples in the bot lane. We will teleport in with Twisted Fate. The Black Shield was selfishly used by KaSing on himself. He could have used it on Shook, which could have been a disengaged kick. That ended up costing Nukeduck his life. So it's funny how that snowballs, but really good move there from Splice.
But ultimately that was 2 kills for an inhibitor turret and an inhib.
Oh, still worth it, but it was the best play they could make in the losing situation.
Again, they did make another proactive play, which is good to see from Splice.
Yeah. Well, technically reactive. Call it what you want. They made a play.
Yeah.
It was good.
They did something.
They did things. People died. Inhibitor just dropped. League of Legends.
We had some action. It was Resident Sleeper for a long time in this game, but Nisbeth was making things happen for us. So that's
I'm actually going to go back on my screen and see like what Wunderwear was doing. Oh, so what actually ended up happening is there's no action on the main screen. Nope. That always happens.
I got you.
Yeah, you got me. You spotting me?
Yep.
Wunderwear actually ran to the fight. So he didn't actually stop because he assumed everyone was going to run to the fight. So Cabochard and Hjarnan just walked into the base, took the tower and the inhib, which was actually already on very low HP, I think. No, that can't be because the tower was alive. That's really weird. That's a spectator bug.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just took the inhib for free, and then Wunderwear came down and killed Hjarnan. So that was actually a pretty big mistake from Wunderwear. At that point, your job is to protect the base, not join the fight.
He eventually got the kill. Cabochard clearing all this minion wave, pushing minions. And so will Sencux. He will also push minions. Wunderwear in the bottom lane, going to be farming away. Still very tanky though.
Yeah, he's very tanky, but Vitality are choosing the option to not fight him instead. Vitality can repeat the same process they did earlier. So they did a 4-1 or a 3-2 push there mid to bot lane, because bot lane is already pushing right now. They can repeat that same process and in the process get vision control around Baron. So this is probably the winning play for them, where they get deep vision in the enemy blue jungle, They deny any vision from Splyce. They use the Fog of War to either create a pick or get the Baron, and then they go 4-1 split push to seal the deal.
And now Baron is being pressured. All the vision is going over to Vitality, and they'll head back into the mid lane. Again, trying to get a pick with the Spooky Ghost, but not quite there. Maybe they'll be able to get something done.
Yeah, good reaction by Vitality. Some teams tunnel vision on that bait, but you really want to make sure you push out mid, go back to D-Ward, push out mid again. We see an engage here, finally from Wunderwear, eats somebody, Abyssal Voyage goes in.
He's so far away from the team though, but it is Nisbeth who comes with him, so he's very tanky in his own right. And once again, gets the pick onto Nukeduck, and that's the first kill of the fight. Hjarnan picks up KaSing, but he actually doesn't go through the wall. Gets the CC down onto Kobbe though, but the rest of the team is not with him. He has to flash away. Sencux looking to get in range, and that's the second kill of the fight. Splice may be coming back into this.
That was a great engage from Wunderwear. Carries in Nisbeth, he Q flashes in, 3-man pulverized into knockback onto Nukeduck, who flies straight into the cocoon. This was finally what we were looking for from Splice, and fantastic engage, and honestly, Vitality did not see it coming.
And it had to be this timing as well, because Dragon just spawned, and this would have been the 5th one of the game for Vitality, now denied for Splice.
But this fight usually leads to a Baron. Right now, Vitality had 5th Dragon pressure, so Splice had to opt to take that off the table first. They may head to Baron right now, but the death timer is approaching, 15 seconds. They can't actually capitalize. They get a first Dragon, which is great, but they could have had a Baron if they managed to sneak at least 1 Dragon earlier in the game.
Very true. Cabochard just up there in the upper side of the jungle, and it's difficult for Splice with that bottom inhibitor being down so far away from where the action will be. Luckily, Wunderwear can do a decent job of clearing out these minions, and he's the one with the teleport, so they should be able to react to Baron if it started up by Vitality.
Yeah, he played that fight a lot better, so we gave him some criticism earlier, but he soaked a lot of damage, and more importantly, he was actually purposely walking the skill shots, which you have to do on Time Kench, to create room for his allies to really carry that fight.
It was a good engage as well, bringing Nisbeth with him, the other tanky member.
It's always wondering, like, Tahm Kench comes in, like, who does he have in his belly? Oh, it's Alistar, run.
Yep, get out. Nukeduck did not in that last fight, but he still has his flash and cleanse coming into this next fight. Actually, not a lot of summoners were burnt. It was actually only really from the supports. We're going to wait for this Baron setup to come in now.
Yeah, that's the problem. Now they can bait Baron, and they don't have the trigger on the Alistar. They don't have the Q flash. Sencux does have ulti. Wunderwear does have Abyssal Voyage available, but he actually needs to land behind the team right now to actually flank. But in that instance, if then Vitality charges forward, you're also screwed. So really, really tricky.
Team's inhibitor is respawning soon.
That was not the package? Was that the package?
That was the package,
That
yes.
was the package. A waste of a package.
It was unfortunate because he got hit by the Spooky Ghost, and with Vitality closing in, with a lot of flashes available and the kind of threat range being very wide from Vitality, he had to use it defensively. Vitality looking for a setup here in the Baron pit, but with Elise Spiraling coming out, they're just going to read that one.
Yeah, Wunderwear split pushing in the bot lane. So that's a good bait though. Trading one bait opportunity without losing anything on the other side of the map for TF ulti. They can just push out mid right here, zone with the Spooky Ghost, zone with the binding. That's going to be some poke that forces the ultimate on Nisbeth.
Has to use the ultimate with the CC chain coming in.
And then they go back, they bait again, and this time there's no TF ulti available. Splice did not move in far enough to place a lot of wards. Vitality can use the Fog of War to their advantage. And they just surprise Splice maybe, but even insta-starting it. That's risky though.
Now the Abyssal Voyage play can't really work with Nisbeth, but they're already in range. Maybe they can get a pick onto Wunderwear, but he is very tanky. Will be going to grey health. Now Trashy and Kobbe come into the fight, but is it too late? Because the top laner is down. Repel comes up. Nisbeth only now combos, but he has no ultimate from the last play. Sencux has to try and get away, along with Kobbe, but only the carries are alive. He has to burn his flash, but they're on the wrong side of the map. 3 for 1 over to Vitality.
That's bold. Engaging on the Tahm Kench instead of the 4-man flanking party. Bold move here from Vitality, but it pays off. They kill Tahm Kench off tearing through their entire grave health. Kobbe gets caught.
That is not good. He's going to be CC'd for what feels like centuries, and that means that Sencux will also go down. Finally, Vitality can go back to the Baron, take this one out, and take a lot in the base of Splice.
Yeah, a lot of control that will come off this Baron. More importantly, they just won another fight, another ace. Gold gap going up right here. 11,000 gold right now. Getting some really, really big item points. Nisbeth's flash is up again, so we're looking for that. That has to be the game-winning play here. Nisbeth needs another Q flash into knockback to one-shot one of the members.
Yeah, either Hjarnan or Nukeduck would be one of the value pickups. Cabochard, though, sitting in the top lane still, doing a lot of damage. Has gone for that Core of the Maw and the Sterex. Also gone with the Ghost Blade, and now picking up the Bloodthirster for additional shield. So it's very difficult to burst him down.
Yeah, and just keep your eyes... Well, actually, keep your eyes on this play, and then keep your eyes on the vision later. So they engage on Wunderwear, take him out. He still gets his great health off, but they peel upwards, finish off Wunderwear, and then they go on the remaining team members. At that point, once your tank's down, if you can't return any damage while your tank is soaking it, you're probably in a rough position. But you see just the power of tank Tahm Kench there, though. The amount of damage he could soak 1v5 was just, yeah, insane, though, honestly. Kobbe here gets hit by the bind, really good bind. If that bind misses, this Baron fails, by the way. So this was absolutely crucial. So much damage coming out. Again, these are 4 members without a real tank. Baron will deal a whole heap of damage. Back to the vision point. KaSing has placed 16 pink wards this game.
16.
That's
Wow.
12. That is 1,200 gold, if I do my math correctly, that he spent on pink wards alone. That is a true support. I'm not alive. And yeah, Kobbe still had flash up as well when he died there in that fight. So he probably should have flashed the bind. Really triple.
Yes.
Likely. But yeah.
Still. In the bottom lane, Siege now coming in with those Baron dump minions. This will be the last chance saloon for Splyce to get a good engage off. As you mentioned earlier, Krepo.
That's in Poland, I'm here.
We're going to have to get a really good engage from Nisbeth. He has his flash, however. Kobbe gets chunked before this fight happens. The inhibitor's still alive, but is going to go down extremely quickly. Sencux is trying to get the CC down onto one of the carries. He gets it off, but has to go into Zhonya's. Now he is not in a good position. He will be falling. In fact, he goes into Wunderwear. He spits him to safety, but maybe Wunderwear going down as he goes through his grey health all the way into the death chamber. 1-0 over to Vitality, and now they close in for the win.
Yeah, grey health into grey screen there for Wunderwear. Nobody there to eat him. Sencux ulti comes out. Pulverized combo from Nisbeth.
But there's no one to follow up in this fight. Sencux and Kobbe are too far back. Sencux pops his ultimate, but where is he going to go? Back onto the spawn pad. There's very little that Splice can do in this situation, and Vitality are literally just toying with their food as they take down the Nexus itself. Now they go for the final fight, padding their stats in the Fantasy LCS. There goes the Nexus. Vitality take home the win.
Slow and steady mid-game there with just chipping away from Vitality at the gold from Splice, really taking away small camps, a little bit of vision advantage, pushing here and there, chipping away the towers. Eventually a forced fight there using the 4v5 because how slowly Wunderwear was split pushing in the bot lane. Honestly, Splice overextended a little bit. They re-engaged, it failed, they did nothing for a while, but then they had a couple of nice counterplays at least. I was actually surprised that it worked out the way they did with Wunderwear carrying in Nisbeth. That was actually a play I didn't really see coming to fruition, yeah. So that was good that Splice managed to surprise their opponents. But yet again, it was too late, and really collected finish there from Vitality.
It was slow, it was methodical, but a win is a win, and they played it well. They knew that they didn't need to force the issue, they just needed to wait for Splice to come to them, and then ultimately it meant that they could carry on taking these good fights and took home the victory. 41 minutes though in that game. Also had the opportunity to go for 5th Dragon, which is something you don't see all that often, at least in Europe. We've had some pretty fast games so far.
Yeah, if you look at LCK, that's actually happening a lot
Yes.
there, and that's actually, their mid games are very similar because there's more wave clear in the mid lane, so they have a very, very slow mid games, where especially after lane swaps, tower falls, towers fall again, and then nothing happens because teams are struggling to set up enough vision because due to the nerf on vision and how easy it is to get at least some information with blue trinkets and with some certain abilities in the game right now, like the Destiny from TF, that it's really hard to set up picks for the other team. Vitality, patiently, they can work on their vision game, but they actually did a lot right, especially the amount of pink wards, and that's mainly due to the fact that he was likely sitting on a Baron pillow, I believe, or he just got that.
It's quite soft as well, because he was very particular about having a soft pillow.
Yeah, maybe that is going to lead KaSing to victory. Talking to camera, he does not understand that cameras actually don't have built-in microphones.
Yeah.
We have to explain that to KaSing sometimes. He's still talking. I'll have a chat with him. I'm like, Ray, you know what? Can't actually hear you, mate.
No, maybe we should just learn lip reading, and maybe we can have a conversation then, because he can hear us. But yeah, that